Why smart people use simple words. You think you need big, academic words to sound intelligent in English. You are wrong. Today we learn from Steve Jobs why the greatest leaders speak with absolute simplicity. Have you ever sat in an English class and felt overwhelmed? Your teacher gives you a list of long, complicated words. They tell you that to be advanced, you must use complex grammar. So you try. You try to build these massive, heavy sentences in your head. But then something happens. When you actually try to speak, you freeze. You stumble over your own words. You get lost in the middle of your own thoughts. You feel like you are failing because you cannot sound like a textbook. But here is a secret that your English teacher might not tell you. The most powerful people in the world do not speak like textbooks. They do not hide behind big words to look smart. In fact, the smarter the person, the simpler their language usually is. Think about the men and women who changed the world. They didn't use jargon. They used clarity. They used words that a child could understand, but a CEO would respect. One man mastered this better than anyone else: Steve Jobs. He took the most advanced technology on the planet and explained it with breathtaking simplicity. Today, I want to show you how he did it. And more importantly, I want to show you how you can use his secrets to become a confident, fluent English speaker. Because before we fix your vocabulary, we must understand why we fall into the trap of making things difficult. Chapter 1: The Complexity Trap. Weak communicators hide behind jargon, but strong leaders speak with absolute clarity. Why do we do it? Why, when we learn English, do we feel this heavy pressure to use the longest word possible? Think about the last time you tried to explain a difficult idea at work or in a conversation. You probably searched your brain for academic words. You wanted to sound professional. You wanted to sound like an expert. This is what I call the complexity trap. The complexity trap is a psychological trick. We believe that if our English is simple, people will think we are simple. We worry that if we use basic words, people will think we are not intelligent. But actually, the opposite is true. When you use jargon, those big, technical, fancy words, you aren't showing how smart you are. Most of the time, you are just making it harder for people to understand you. In the world of business and leadership, jargon is often a mask. People use it when they don't truly understand what they are talking about. They hide behind synergy, implementation, and methodology because they are afraid of being clear. Steve Jobs hated this. He believed that simplicity was the ultimate form of sophistication. He knew that if you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well enough. Think about your own English journey. Are you spending hours memorizing word lists from a GRE or TOEFL textbook? Words that you will never actually use in a real conversation? If you are building a wall between yourself and your listener. When you focus on complex English, your brain has to work 10 times harder. You have to translate. You have to check your grammar. You have to worry about pronunciation. By the time the word leaves your mouth, the moment is gone. The connection is broken. You are not failing at English because you don't know enough big words. You are struggling because you are trying to carry too much weight. True intelligence isn't about knowing the most words. It's about choosing the right words. It's about taking a big, messy idea and making it clean. So, how do we stop falling into this trap? We have to look at how the master of simplicity changed the world with just one sentence. Because as you're about to see, the secret to genius is not addition. It is subtraction. Chapter 2: 1,000 Songs in Your Pocket. The difference between a boring speaker and a genius is just 5 words. Let's go back to the year 2001. The world was changing. Technology was getting smaller. Every electronics company was trying to sell the same thing, a portable music player. Imagine you are standing in a store back then. You see a box. On the front, it says, 5 GB portable MP3 player with high-speed data transfer. How does that make you feel? Does it make your heart beat faster? Does it make you want to reach into your wallet? Probably not. It sounds like a math homework assignment. It's technical. It's advanced. It's exactly what they teach you in a high-level business English textbook. Then, Steve Jobs walked onto a stage. He didn't talk about megabytes. He didn't talk about battery voltage or file formats. He pulled a small white device out of his pocket and said 5 simple words. 1,000 songs in your pocket. That was it. That was the whole pitch. Think about those words. None of them are academic. None of them are C1 level vocabulary. 1,000 songs in your pocket. A 7-year-old child knows these words, but that sentence changed the world. Why? Because Steve Jobs didn't want to show you how smart the engineers were. He wanted to show you how much better your life would be. Most English learners make the 5 GB mistake. When you speak, you try to describe the technical specs of your brain. You try to use the most advanced grammar to prove you are smart. You are trying to sell a 5 GB portable MP3 player. But your listener doesn't care about your grammar specs. They care about your message. They want the 1,000 songs. They want to know, what do you mean? How do you feel? What is your idea? When you use simple words, you create a picture in the listener's mind. 1,000 songs is a picture. 5 GB is just a number. Later in this video, I will show you a simple habit to turn your complex thoughts into pocket-sized ideas. But first, we need to understand how your brain actually processes information, because there is a very specific reason why Steve Jobs always grouped his ideas in a certain way. There is a magic number in communication, and if you don't use it, people will forget everything you say the moment you stop talking. Chapter 3. The Rule of 3. Your brain is programmed to remember things in groups of 3. Have you ever noticed something strange about the way we talk? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Blood, sweat, and tears. Mind, body, and spirit. There is a reason why we don't say blood, sweat, tears, and a little bit of spit. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't stick in your head. This is the rule of 3. Steve Jobs was obsessed with this rule. When he introduced the very first iPhone in 2007, he didn't give a list of 20 features. He told the audience he was introducing 3 revolutionary products: a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. He repeated these 3 things over and over: an iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. Until finally, he revealed the secret. They were all the same device. He knew that the human brain is a pattern-seeking machine. If you give someone 2 things, it feels like a comparison. If you give them 4 things, it feels like a list. But 3 feels like a complete story. As an English learner, you often try to say everything at once. You want to tell your boss about the project, the budget, the timeline, and the risks. You provide a list of 6 or 7 points. And what happens? Your boss forgets 4 of them. If you want to sound like a leader in English, you must learn to group your thoughts. When someone asks, "How was your weekend?" don't give a 20-minute timeline. Give them 3 highlights. I went for a hike, cooked a great meal, and finally finished my book. It sounds structured. It sounds confident. It sounds like you are in control of the language rather than the language being in control of you. Later in this video, I will show you how to use this rule of 3 to introduce yourself so people never forget your name. But before we can build great stories, we have to do something much harder. We have to learn how to throw things away. Because the secret to a powerful message isn't what you say. It's what you choose not to say. Chapter 4, Cutting the Fluff. If you want your English to have power, you must learn to stop talking. Think about the last time you were nervous while speaking English. What did you do? Most learners do the same thing. They use filler words. They add extra sentences because they are afraid of silence. They think that if they keep talking, they will eventually find the right point. They say things like, "So I was thinking that maybe, if it's okay with you, we could perhaps look at the possibility of starting the meeting a little bit earlier tomorrow, if that works for everyone's schedule." Stop! That is not English. That is a mess. You are burying your diamond under a mountain of cheap rocks. When you use too many words, your main idea disappears. This is what we call fluff. Steve Jobs was a master at cutting the fluff. He didn't just write his presentations, he edited them. He cut out every word that didn't need to be there. Let's look at a mini example. Imagine you want to introduce a new idea to your team, the textbook way. I would like to take a moment of your time to introduce a concept that I have been developing regarding our digital presence, the Steve Jobs way. We have a better way. Which one do you remember? The second one is only 4 words, but those 4 words are like a knife. They cut through the noise. They demand attention. Many English learners think that short sentences make them look like a beginner. They think, if I only say 4 words, people will think I don't know English. But let me tell you the truth. It takes a lot of skill to be brief. Using simple, short sentences shows that you are confident. It shows that you trust your ideas. You don't need to hide behind a cloud of maybe and perhaps. So, here is your challenge for today. The next time you want to explain something, try to say it in 10 words or less. If you can't explain it in 10 words, you probably don't understand the core of what you want to say. This habit will change your life. It will stop the translation freeze in your brain because you are giving your mind less work to do. But cutting the fluff is only the first step. To truly speak like a leader, you need to do something even more difficult. You need to learn how to say no to your own ideas. Chapter 5, The Courage to Say No. Innovation is not saying yes to everything. It is saying no to 100 good ideas. Steve Jobs famously said that focus is not about saying yes, it is about saying no. In 1997, when he returned to Apple, the company was making dozens of different products. Computers, printers, handheld devices. It was a mess. Jobs looked at the list and he didn't try to make them all better. He canceled almost all of them. He decided that Apple would only make 4 great computers. That was it. He had the courage to say no to many good products so that he could say yes to a few great ones. As an English learner, you face the same problem every time you open your mouth. Inside your head, there are 100 different ideas. You want to tell the story, explain the reason, share the feelings, and give the background information. You try to say yes to all of them. And what happens? Your English becomes a messy product. You start one sentence, then you jump to another idea, then you go back to explain a detail you forgot. Your listener is confused. You are exhausted. To speak like a leader, You must have the courage to pick one core message and reject everything else. If you are in a meeting and you want to say that the project is over budget, don't talk about the history of the company, the weather, and the broken printer. Focus on the one message. The project costs too much. Say it, then stop. Many learners feel like they are cheating if they don't explain every detail. They feel like they are not being fluent enough. But think about this for a moment. Who is the more fluent speaker? The person who speaks for 10 minutes and says nothing, or the person who speaks for 30 seconds and changes your mind? Fluency is not the ability to speak forever. Fluency is the ability to reach your goal with your words. When you learn to say no to the extra details, you give your brain more power to focus on the main point. You stop worrying about complex grammar for the unimportant parts. Later in this video, I will give you a specific tool, a blueprint, to help you find that one core message every single time. But before we get there, we need to see how all these pieces fit together. We need to see how Steve Jobs actually built his presentations from the ground up. Chapter 6, The Presentation Blueprint. A great message is not built by chance. It is built by a design. Steve Jobs did not just walk onto a stage and start talking. He followed a blueprint. He had a structure that he used every single time. Whether he was launching a new phone or talking to a graduation class, he followed a map. Most English learners don't have a map. They have a compass that spins in circles. They start speaking and hope they find the destination. This is why you feel anxious. You are driving in a new city without a GPS. If you want to sound confident, you need a template. You need a way to organize your thoughts before you even open your mouth. I want to give you the one idea pitch template. This is the secret tool that will help you speak like a leader, even if your English isn't perfect yet. Here is how it works. It has 3 simple parts. First, the villain. Every great story has a problem. Steve Jobs would start by saying, "Cell phones today are hard to use. They are not smart." He identified a villain that everyone hated. In your English, start with the problem. Our current system is too slow. Second, the hero. The hero is your solution. But remember, keep it simple. We have a new way to work. Don't explain the 50 steps. Just name the hero. Third, the transformation. How does the world look after the hero wins? We will save 10 hours every week. That's it. Villain, hero, transformation. Think about how much easier your brain works when you use this blueprint. You aren't searching for 500 words. You are searching for 3 specific points. Let's try a role play. Imagine you want to ask your boss for a new laptop. The textbook way. I am writing to formally request a hardware upgrade because my current computational device is experiencing significant latency issues during multitasking. Nobody talks like that. The one idea way. My current computer is crashing every day. The villain. I need the new Pro model. The hero. It will allow me to finish my reports twice as fast. The transformation. Can you see the power in that? It's short. It's clear. It's impossible to ignore. When you use a template, you stop worrying about, am I using the right tense? And you start focusing on, am I being understood? You are no longer a student trying to pass a test. You are a communicator delivering a message. But there is one final thing you need. It's the most important lesson Steve Jobs ever taught. It's the reason why he was able to change the world. And it's the reason why you will finally find your fluency. Your English does not have to be perfect to be powerful. We have spent this time talking about Steve Jobs, about the iPhone, and about the one idea template. But I want to talk about you for a moment. I know why you look for big words. I know why you try to use complex grammar. It's because you are afraid. You are afraid that if you speak simply, people will think you are not smart. You are afraid that your colleagues will judge you, or that you won't get the respect you deserve because your English sounds basic. But I want you to look at the people who truly inspire you. When they speak, are you counting their grammar mistakes? Are you checking to see if they used a C2 level adjective? No. You are listening to their heart. You are following their vision. Steve Jobs was once fired from his own company. He was a man who failed many times, but he never stopped believing that his ideas deserved to be heard. He didn't wait until he was perfect to change the world. You have been waiting. You have been waiting until your English is perfect before you speak up in that meeting. You have been waiting until you know every vocabulary word before you share your true personality with the world. Stop waiting. The world doesn't need more people who sound like textbooks. The world needs people who have the courage to be clear. When you choose simplicity, you are choosing connection. You are choosing to be understood. And that is the highest form of intelligence. You are not slow. You are not bad at English. You have just been trying to carry a weight that even native speakers don't carry. Put down the heavy words. Focus on the one idea. Speak from your soul, and let the simplicity do the work. If you can explain a complex dream using simple words, you aren't just an English learner. You are a leader. If this lesson helped you see your English journey in a new way, subscribe to Study English TV. We are here to help you find your voice, not just your grammar. I want you to make a commitment to yourself right now. Go to the comments below and write, "I will speak simply and clearly today." By writing it, you are telling your brain that your message is more important than your fear. And don't forget to get your one idea pitch template in the description below to help you structure your next big conversation. Keep studying, keep growing, and remember, your voice matters. I'll see you in the next video.